Oh, again, on your opener, the date says 4/17, but we're actually completing it today, which is 4/26.
6 days ago.
The first part of your opener says, find the greatest common factor of the terms in the following expression. So if we're going to find the greatest common factor of the terms in the following expression, what's the first thing I need to do, Cody? Yeah, I'm going to make my factor trees. So what are my factors for 24, Cody?
2 and 12.
Okay, keep going. Finish up 24 for me.
2 and 6. And 3 and 2.
All right, David, for 60.
2 and 6.
Okay.
6. 3 and 2. And for 10, 5 and 2.
And then Danielle for 12.
34. And 2 and 2.
No, make the factors up.
Kaylon, you know it. I was going to ask you, what do I do next? So I write my factors out in a list. So 12, the factors of 24 in order from least to greatest.
You gotta write 2 3 times, and then it's 3 after that.
Okay, and what about for 60?
And then you gotta write 2 times, and then after that it's 3 and 5. And then you gotta write 12, negative 12. You gotta write, it's negative 12.
You don't need to worry about the negative yet. You can put it there, but
You gotta put 2 2s and 1 3. And circle your pairs.
okay.
Your pairs are a set of 2s, another set of 2s, and a set of 3s.
Okay, so give me 1 second. So then the greatest common factor, in order to get the greatest common factor,
Isn't it 12?
it is 12. So I don't take 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 3. They don't have that many numbers in common. They have a group of 2's in common, another group of 2's in common, and a group of 3's. So I'm going to take 2 times 2 times 3 to get my greatest common factor, which Kaylon told us is 12. All right. When we go from there, we're going to look at our variables. Jaden, do they all have a W? Which one do I use? I just didn't hear you. 4. Okay? Because we use the one with the smallest exponent. Do they all contain another variable? What? To the third. So this is my greatest common factor. 12, w to the 4th, x to the 3rd. When you guys do your quiz today, you want one of us 3 to make sure you have your greatest common factor right, or your whole area model will be off. Now, that doesn't mean, like, if you don't know how to find the greatest common factor, it doesn't mean Mr. McFarland, myself, or Ms. B is going to explain it to you then. But we'll let you know, like, oh, you messed up with your variable. Look here again. Okay, now, Deja, the greatest common factor now becomes what for my area model?
Your height.
My height. So I'm going to go ahead and label that. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to label my area model because I'm going to now use this to factor the following expression. Okay. What else do I know about my area model that I can go ahead and fill out? The area. So what represents my area here?
The number 24. W to the 6th, x to the 3rd.
Okay. What's my second area?
60, W to the 4th, x to the 3rd.
And my third area.
Negative 12, W to the 5th, x to the 3rd.
Good. So remember, my height always goes on this side, and then inside of my rectangle always goes first. My area always goes on the bottom of my area model, on the bottom of my rectangle. So then my width is my second one, and it comes on top of my area model. So now that I have the height and I have the area, I'm ready to find what the width is. But before I do that, I know that height times width gets me to area. So I'm going to write out the information I do know in each rectangle before finding the height. Or excuse me, before finding the width. Okay. Now I'm ready to find the width. So there's two ways that you can do it. You can either think 12 times what will get me to 24, or you can look up to 24 and what in our factor list, and what number didn't I use? 2. So that 2 becomes my width. Then I look at my W's. I have 4 in my height. My total area has 6. So how many W's does my width have to be? So you went from 4 to 6. So 4 plus what gets you to 6? 2. So W squared. And then we look at our X's. I started with X to the third and I ended with X to the third. So does my width need any?
Nope.
No. So the width of this first rectangle is,
W to the 6.
so make sure that you're showing all that work there. You're showing your height times width on the inside, and then you're labeling your sides. Okay. So we're going to come to the next one. So now we need to find the width of my second rectangle. So I look at 12, and I can either think 12 times what equals 60, or I can come up here, and what number didn't I use for 60? 5. So that becomes my width. All right, Michael.
What?
Do I need any W's in my width?
Yes.
I have 4 and I have 4. Do I need any?
No.
No. What about X's? I have 3, then I have
Yes.
4. How many? 1. So the width of this rectangle is what, Mike? What's the width? What'd you just,
No.
what is it though?
5x.
Nice. All right. We're almost done. So I come to my next width. 12 times what gets me to negative 12? Now look, do I have any numbers not circled? No. When that happens, what factor does every single number share? Uno, 1, right? So 12 times 1 will get me to 12. How do I get to negative 12? I have to make that 1 a negative. Now, do I really have to have that 1 there? No, I could just have negative in my variables if I wanted. So then I look at my variables. W to the 4th, my total area has W to the 5th. So does my width have to have a W? How many? Okay, then I look at my X's. X to the 3rd in my height. My total area has X to the 5th. So does my width have to have the variable X? How many? So the width of this rectangle is what? So what's the width of this?
W8 to the 6.
Am I done?
No, you're not.
No, I'm not. But I'm almost done. So now I write my final answer. So next to my equal sign, I have area equals, then I'm going to put my height times width. So what's my height here, you guys?
12, W to the 4.
Yeah. So my height is, again, my greatest common factor. And then what do I put after that? What do I put after my height? Parentheses. So I'm multiplying it times my width, which is
W squared.
you do plus. Oh, we do. And what goes behind it? And box. If you show your work and you get your answers all right, it will look like this. I might have an answer.